I remembered.
Fantastic. The recording is going. We'll give folks a minute to sort out getting into the breakout room. We're just about there. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Camp Carpenter Breakout for kicking off our 2023 season. It's a terrifying number to see coming up. We have, as Mike reminded us, 210 days before June 25th, week one, day one. And we're super excited. What I want to do tonight, in addition to some of the overview stuff we just got, sort of big picture, is I want to talk about some of the things that went on in 2022, some of the successes and some of the things that we're looking out to try to improve and smooth out moving forward. Talk a little bit about what we're looking at for 2023, and then get a chance to hear your feedback and go from there. As Allison mentioned, my name is Brett Branscombe. I'm the camp director at Camp Carpenter. This is my second season as camp director, and terrifyingly enough, my 15th season on camp. I will officially have worked at Camp Carpenter for half of my life. It's a grand old time. What a way to kick off the waning days of my 20s. And we have Brendan Adams over here joining us as our outdoor program specialist, helping us out year round. He gets to do all the fun all the time. So in 2022, we had, I think, a really great summer. We had a lot of fun. Program was pretty awesome. Brendan got to run a lot of it. He was super excited as our climbing/aquatics director. And we went through a couple new processes. We, in addition to being accredited by the BSA through the National Camp Accreditation program, that came through early in the summer, and once again, checked all the boxes, and we're super impressed with all the awesome things that we were doing. We also decided as a council to step out and seek accreditation through the American Camping Association, or American Camp Association. Not camp, I do that all the time. American Camp Association, which has a different set of standards and accredits camps more broadly, not just inside of scouting, but in a broader youth camping industry. And so they have some different perspectives in terms of processes and things like that. So it was a good challenge for us, and a good chance for us to look at some of the things that we do and sort of assume in scouting, and find opportunities to better communicate those and make those more clear in terms of internal processes and in terms of our communications. So we've already had some things that we've tweaked and adjusted to sort of align with that a little bit more, and you'll likely see some of those things tweak and adjust a little bit more as we move forward. But we are super excited that we did receive accreditation from them. They came through, I think it was early August. I can't remember, the summer was a little bit of a blur. It was fun, but it was a blur. And we did receive that accreditation from them. So we have that for a period of 5 years. So I think 2025 or 2026, depending on where they landed out. They put us into a 5-year cycle, and we get to move forward with that, which will be super, super exciting. We're also looking forward to being able to tap into some more of those resources. They do a lot of great networking and camping, and we just have a lot of really cool stuff that we have access to, which is hopefully going to be really helpful for us. For this past summer, we had just shy of 500 campers for resident camp, 487, which is up about 44% from the 338 we had in 2021. So that was really exciting to see. We know those numbers are still trailing behind and sort of following our Cub Scout numbers in council, and hopefully we start to see those come back up and get back towards where we were pre-COVID times. But we're really excited to see that growth year over year, and hopefully we continue to see something like that moving forward. We had about 22.5% of Cub Scouts at Daniel Webster Council attend camp at Camp Carpenter. which is about where we typically have been. That was a bit lower last year, but that's about where we've generally been. About half the scouts from about half the units or half the packs come to Camp Carpenter. We would love to see even more. So you are a pack that hasn't come to camp before and you haven't reached out to Brendan or myself yet, you should do that. We're happy to come in and do the song and do the dance and help get scouts to camp. Or if you know a pack nearby that hasn't come to camp or didn't come to camp last year, encourage them to reach out to us. We would love to have more packs at camp and go from there. The more scouts we can get in the door, the more awesome, fun, cool things we can do to make that happen. And definitely worth noting, my favorite statistics from the summer, because I do firmly believe that Camp Carpenter operates off of fun and adventure, and that's distilled down in the most perfect way through this frazzle machine that churns out all these slushies. We consumed 2,050 slushies over this summer. It was amazing. I had too many of them myself, but it was a grand old time. And 633 slushy mugs. It's great. Someone tried to tell me that buying 500 was too many. I sold 630 of them. So I'll get even more this summer, and it will be very exciting. I'm unreasonably excited about that, because we used to have these like mug of the day colors that we had for every year, and I have stacks of them everywhere because I just got 5 of them every year. And we hadn't quite gotten back to that point since we took over the trading post. So I'm shoehorning it. I'm making it happen. It's a grand old time. As we look forward to 2023, we have a number of members of our team coming back and joining us again. So I will be back as our camp director. Our program director, Kristen Farrell, is planning on returning. She's got a classroom teaching job this year, which I'm very, very excited about. And so she plans on returning as our program director. Brendan will be assisting her as a assistant program director, business manager, amalgam of things. Brendan will continue helping and doing all of the awesome stuff. And our head commissioner, Alex Eger, is planning on returning as well. And we are looking to fill in the team from there, trying to get lots of other people to help us out and fill in those spaces. So, if you know people who are interested in working at camp, whether that's in program or in the office or with maintenance or whatever it might be, we've got lots of spots and things for lots of people. So if you know anyone who has a summer free, have them reach out. It'll be a grand old time. And we'll be pushing forward some more of that information about staffing and the links to those applications through lots of our channels and sending stuff out. So we're getting started with that process and starting to see what that team looks like as we jump in. We know at this point we are likely looking for a few key program positions. Would be some 21-plus-year-olds who could run things like a climbing program, an aquatics program, a shooting sports program. We are willing and able to train people to do those if we find people with the right dispositions who want to work with scouts and want to learn and help lead staff. We can provide that, whether it's lifeguard training or shooting sports training or climbing training. We just need the people to be able to train to do those jobs. So we're starting that search, and any assistance you have will be helpful for sure. Our theme this summer, is Under the Big Top. We are going to the circus. We're going to the carnival. I don't have patch artwork yet. We're working on it, and it'll be, I'm sure, super cool when I do get it. But I imagine it will have a large circus tent. I think Kristen requested that it have a seal and a giraffe or something like that. So it'll be cool. I'm excited for it. So we'll be incorporating a lot of that into some of the program stuff we do around. We're going to have to get creative about how we have a carnival night and a theme night. So we'll figure something out. It'll be fun. It'll be really cool. It'll be awesome. And we'll go from there. If you have clever ideas, let us know. We are open to hearing them. We're also sort of restructuring a little bit how we incorporate Granite Base Camp and so the day camp programs into some of our stuff at Camp Carpenter, sort of across the board, especially from an administrative standpoint. So we're sort of looping that in a little bit more, going to have a little bit more unity between those sort of programs and staffing and training, and hopefully that smooths out some bumps we had with some logistical stuff around some of our day camp programs. We did have about 250 day campers, about 50 family campers joined us as well. So is an important part of what we do, and gonna try to make that program be as awesome as it can be, just like we do for our resident care programs as well. Allison mentioned the registration system and the Medform system that we're working on integrating and rolling out, hopefully in the next 5 weeks or so. No, January 1st is the goal there. And the one other thing I want to throw out there and sort of preview, and Phil can shake his head aggressively if I'm not supposed to say anything about it yet. But one of the things we're exploring, I won't say it's finalized, but we're exploring is trying to implement some form of a tiered pricing model. A lot of our camp fees in the past, we know our camp fee doesn't always cover the entire cost of scouts to go to camp. And working through some of our budgeting, we've discovered the first scout on property actually cost quite a bit for that first scout to show up. When we factor it out, the cost overall for a scout to come to camp ends up being somewhere around like $900, which is not what we've charged as a camp fee, nor what we think we want to charge as a camp fee, because we want it to be accessible to as many people as we can. We know that's a bit of a challenge. So what a number of other camps have done that we're looking at trying to move towards is having a voluntary tiered pricing model where we basically communicate that, and we say, when we look at everything we do and we make sure we pay our staff enough that we can hire them and give a fair pay, and we can make sure we keep up with maintenance on our facilities and replace program equipment when it's broken or simply needs to be replaced because it's been in use for 20 years or whatever. The cost ends up being somewhere around this number. And we have a couple other options where we subsidize that through different means or through budgeting or through whatever it might be. And those are options that you have that you may be able to pay at, but doing so with the knowledge that that's what's happening. And that's largely what's been going on in the Daniel Webster Council for many years is, the cost of camp has probably been somewhere in the range of $800 to $1,000, depending on how many in which year and some specifics along the way. And the fee to go to camp has been somewhere around $300 to $400 to $500. And that gap has been one that we haven't necessarily communicated very clearly as far as what's happening and how that works. So what that would likely look like is something with 3 tiers of pricing that a family could select. Tier 1 being how much that full cost works out to. Tier 3 being about what we've been charging in the past, probably somewhere in the range of $500, and tier 2 being somewhere in between, to give families who are able to and willing to support that full cost of camp, giving them the opportunity to do that, but also still giving that opportunity for a similar range of pricing that we've had in the past for other families, in addition to camperships and stuff like that. I'm sure I'll find a clearer, more concise way to write that up if that is the route we end up going, but that's something we have been exploring, and I'm advocating for, because I think it will help us from a budgeting standpoint and also help communicate, when we do have a camp fee that's $500 or so, what that means in terms of what we're actually receiving and the costs that go behind it. That's my rant about tiered pricing. Brendan, do you want to talk about, question? Mike has a hand up for a question. Sure.
Yeah, so is there some way to tie that conversation into Friends of Scouting? Directly say, hey, right? Because that shortfall, I'm sure, is covered partially by Friends of Scouting donations. So trying that, I don't know if that's something to think about.
Looks like he hasn't.
Maybe I can help field that one. I sit on the budget committee for the council, and we're looking at a number of different funding mechanisms, if you will. We're looking at FOS, we're looking at pop-on sales, we're looking at what the camp fees are, and it's a discussion with a lot of moving parts and very few confirmed answers at this point. But your point is well taken. I think some of this might be, some of the discussions might lead to implementation over a couple of seasons or a couple of years. So you might see us migrating towards a final end goal, which will be communicated when we know what that is. I don't know. Brett outlined one of the camp funding fees that is under serious consideration. It's just one of several camp fees specific. To answer your question, Mike, I think, yeah, I think the whole, all of the parts of funding for the Daniel Webster Council are integrated, kind of and commingled somehow. Friends of Scouting does support camping in some fashion. Some aspects of camping have supported some other areas of the Daniel Webster Council operations. We're trying to separate all of that out and make separate business units. And as we do that, we're seeing what the real numbers are and the impact that each of those efforts has on the operations of the council. I can tell you the council is lean and mean right now. When COVID was coming, we saw what, and our membership started to drop. We saw what that all meant. So we've been taking a hard look at how we can adequately service the needs of everybody in the council, provide quality camps long-term. We're committed to camping. See what that means for product sales and see what that means for Friends of Scouting, which has suffered, it's no secret over the years. So we're looking at all of that. So I think the short answer is, yeah, it's a good question. It's one of those without a firm answer yet, but we are asking the same kinds of questions. So over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be finalizing what camp looks like this year, and that might not be what it looks like next year in terms of camp fees and how those are structured. We made some changes last year where we've been implementing the camp card, the adventure card discount, which offers some other values in the course of the year, and it's another way of funding camp operations, and it helps people get a little bit of discount off the camp. So all of those things are playing a part. So that might be more information than you asked for, but I wanted to just let you know that this is all under serious consideration, and it might take us a little longer to sort it all out. But we'll have a camp fee and all of that that structure done within the next couple of weeks, at least for this year. Okay. Hope that helps.
Yep.
Thank you, Phil. Yeah, and many of you who maybe have heard my various ramblings at or around camp the last year and a half or so might know that one of my big pushes has been organizational sustainability. How can we figure out how to build these systems so that they can continue moving forward as we come out of COVID and go barreling into the future. And I see Hannah had a question over in chat that Brennan answered. Thank you. Yes, I know I owe you an email back because we were possibly changing a application system and then didn't. So I got that answer today, so I'll get back to you, and we'll be starting those interviews probably late December into January. And then I think, Brendan, camp promotions. I think that's what I was asking.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. We're very excited to be getting back into this. So I'm going to talk about camp promotions a little bit. If you're new to this or your pack has never had one, basically what a camp promotion is, a camp staff will come to your pack meeting and will kind of give a spiel about camp and all the great things and all the fun programs and all the awesome why your kids should come to camp. So we do that, and then we can answer any questions that parents have or leaders have or even the kids have. And so that's kind of helpful for you so that you don't have to have all the information or have to reach out to us about the information. So I did post a link to sign up for that. It's through a Cognito form. So that is currently on the Camp Carpenter leader page, and I think the Camp Carpenter page. If not, it will be soon. I'll also put the link right there in chat for all of y'all. So definitely sign up for that, and it'll ask you your pack number, your location. Please include the town I didn't include that and somebody has signed up and I had to kind of remember where that pack was from. So please include the town. And then it gives you 3 choices, or it asks for 3 choices for which pack meeting you would like us to come to. And basically what'll happen is the week before that pack meeting, I will reach out via email just to confirm that it's still happening where and when you said, and just to let you know that, hey, somebody will be at your pack meeting. It may be me, it may be one of the key 3, and we also have a couple of other staff members that have done this a lot and are super energetic and knowledgeable and ready to chat it up. Last year we had it at Pinewood Derby. Yeah, it's up to you when you want to have us come and talk. It's about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how many questions we get while we're there. So however long or however you want to work that into your pack meeting, we are pretty flexible in how our presentation goes. Do I bring the weather rock with you? I could. That may cost you extra, but I could. Yeah, that's fine, Hannah. Like I said, the form lets you add in whatever date and time you want, and it'll be who's available that day.
It's lots of packs, a number of packs try to do them during like a Pinewood Derby or Blue and Gold.
Blue and
where
Gold,
they
yeah.
have to have lots of parents there already. I would plan on 15-ish minutes. I think the fastest one I ever did was in about 7 minutes. It was a whirlwind.
Yeah.
I wouldn't try to do it again.
No, I did a 8-minute one after driving an hour to it and then an hour back. So that's why I'm hoping to get more camp staff involved. So I don't necessarily have to drive an hour for an 8-minute promo. So definitely, if you have any questions about that, I can also put my email in the chat. Like was mentioned, I am a full-time person, so I get to do this all the time. So definitely feel free to reach out with any questions about that. And we would love to do a promo for every pack. So we want to get those kids to camp and we want to get them excited about coming to camp. And they're always super excited to see us there. And it makes us feel good, like we're superstars, and it's awesome. That's all I have on that.
Yeah, happy to get people out there, do the song, do the dance, and make the cheer happen. Talk about all the super cool programs we have. Yeah, I think I'm looking. I think most people have been to camp already, and so know most of the super cool programs. But I mean, we got a pirate ship. That's where is it? Is it in Minnesota? It's just out of frame somewhere over there. We got a pirate ship. It's super awesome. There's like some hotel. Can young scouts run? Sure. So programs at Camp Carpenter. Sort of skimmed through as I talked about some stats, but what programs do we have? So we have our resident camp programs, which are open to any Cub Scout age youth. So if you are old enough to be a Cub Scout, you are old enough to come to camp with your pack. So that's anyone entering Tigers through Arrow of Light. I don't know why I drew a blank on that. I was thinking grades and didn't translate. The one caveat to that is a Tiger. So this is someone entering first grade. A Tiger does have to be with a one-on-one parent. So they have to have a parent guardian one-on-one with them. And that parent guardian doesn't count towards the 2D leadership for the group, because at that age, that parent is laser focused on there. No lines for resident camp. And so that would be entering. So that would be a lion at that point during the summer would be someone entering kindergarten. And BSA doesn't let us have that age group come for resident camp at that point. They have to be going into first grade. But if they're a lion now, they will be able to come to camp as a Tiger this summer. The process there. Everyone else falls into the general pack arrangements, and any number of Cub Scouts from the pack can come, up to as many as you have, or even more, we can sign them up as a Cub Scout if they're not already. We're happy to help you make that happen. For adult leadership, the requirement is a minimum of 2 adults. So those are 21-year-old or older, registered with the pack and completed youth protection. A minimum of 2 for the unit, and the ratio that we aim for and we ask packs to aim for is 1 adult for every 4 youth from there. So if you have 8 youth, of those 2 adults you have as a minimum, all good. If you have 10 youth, we ask you to try to find a 3rd adult to come with you. If you have 27 youth, we would like you to have 7 or 8 adults to join along with them. That would be super great. Or you could be a pack that brings 20 youth and 20 adults with them. We can make that happen too. We will figure it out and it will be great. But anyone in that Cub Scout age can attend that. There'd be an 18+ leader in addition to the 21+ leaders. Yes, ish is the answer there. So the 2 deep leadership requirement have to both be 21+, and the adult ratio from there is counting 21s in the BSA. You can bring someone who is 18+ but not yet 21 as an adult with a group. They're just not going to count towards the ratio there. They can still be helpful. They just don't quite count towards that ratio at that point. Used to be Cub Scouts, but already crossed over to Scouts. Let me tell you about the other super awesome feature of Cub Scouting that people can join in and ways to come to Camp Carpenter. Your pack, in addition to the adults you might be bringing, may also want to find a den chief or more den chiefs. A den chief who can help out your pack. What a den chief is a Scouts BSA aged youth who probably has crossed over and can join and help with some of the corralling of the cats that might be your pack of Cub Scouts. Generally, our recommendation is that that scout is at least 13 years old and has completed first class. And the reasoning for that is just to give some gap, some age gap between this den chief who is now in a sort of leadership position. They're not totally responsible for supervision. The adults are responsible for supervision, but the den chief can help manage or run activities or line them up, or give the adults some breathing room to step back for a few minutes. And that's more helpful when there's a couple years in between them and the Cub Scouts. What we often see happen if first year scout comes as a den chief is they're not quite filling that role of being a youth leader and are often sort of another scout to manage for the adults. And so it's not quite as helpful in that range. It does happen sometimes, and sometimes there are scouts who are 11 or 12 and can absolutely nail those responsibilities. So we leave that up to the packs to make those determinations. But our general recommendation is send them away for a couple years and then bring them back when they're 13 or 14 and starting to maybe think about whether they want to be a den chief year round or maybe work at Camp Carpenter or all that jazz. We're certainly happy to see den chiefs and
can they join these young scouts? So we have several families with older sibling who is 10 or 11 who just crossed over, and they would love to bring them, not necessarily as den chiefs.
They can't come as campers, so
Cannot.
no.
Okay.
So generally they would be looking at one of our older scout camps, whether that's GSR or older scout camps. So we generally encourage them to go there for a year or two to experience that different side of program, get a little bit more of that leadership development and so on.
We do offer day camp for 10
I
to
was gonna get
14. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll be quiet.
For a resident camp. So the other programs that we do offer day camp programs and family camp programs. And both of those do have options for some of those younger Scouts BSA, so that 10 to 14-year-old age range. So for our day camp programs under our Granite Base Camp umbrella, we have 6 through 10, 7 through 10. I'm gonna have to look at these number charts more. For our
10,
Cub Scout age range is the bulk of our day camp programming, but we also have some specialty adventure week programs that we run for 10 to 14-year-olds, so people who may have just crossed over. And our family camp program, which runs on several weekends through the summer, is just that. It's open to the entire family. So whatever age range that family might fall in, as long as they're sort of meet that minimum age, they're welcome to join in. Those often have more of an open program. They're usually a Friday into a Saturday. But it's still fun. You get to hang out around Camp Carpenter. So there are options for that, just not necessarily on the resident camp side. Questions on those? Lots of fun ways to attend Camp Carpenter from here, from fun. Excellent. Did I mention we have a pirate ship? I need to get a picture of the pirate ship.
Kind of visible in mine, but
very, very faintly. Yeah. I'm trying to think of some big program updates we've had recently. We were able to loop back in free time this summer, which was very exciting to see. I don't have any like big major announcements. I'd love to say that I'm building like a climbing tower or an Ewok village or a mining camp. Someone has to find a bunch of money lying somewhere. Nope, we didn't win the Powerball, so we gotta find some other options there. But we're looking at options to push some things forward. We're looking at there's lots of things we're looking at, but I don't have things to announce yet. So it's hopefully when I have new exciting things, I'll mention them. But we are definitely looking at ways to think about the theme and make it fun, keep it exciting. There was a question earlier about changes to the Weeblo's AOL program. Not any major changes that we've blocked in quite yet. We may be looking at some changes in who's running that program as Brendan sort of pulls up to the admin side. So we may come up with some things as we go along there. But at least from last year. So for our Weeblos and Arrow of Lights, we have our Trailblazers program, which is a day-long program just for those Arrow of Light scouts going into 5th grade, because that's typically their last year as a resident camper at Camp Carpenter. And so we take a whole group of them for a whole day and we go to that far side of the pond and do lots of programming that's available to that age group that isn't available to our other age groups. So we more or less look down the Guide to Safe Scouting list of age appropriate activities and look at all of the ones that say Arrow of Lights only or Weeblo's Arrow of Lights only. We build a whole day of program around those things. So there's a challenge course out there. They'll get to action archery. I believe they were using compound bows last year.
yep.
Fantastic. And they'll get to do things like fire building and cooking their lunches out there. They'll get to go rappelling down some of the rock faces out there. All these really exciting things that we're not able to do with the younger scouts because they're just not age appropriate for a 6 or 7 year old, but now our 10-year-olds we can do those with. So we have that goes on for one day of program that's typically back by the beginning or a little early into free time for the afternoon. And then we also have an extra overnight that we do with those scouts for the bridge program, where we do more of that. We looked along and said, what are the things that we would love to do with them that's age appropriate that we can't because it just doesn't fit in the schedule there. And we do them then. So we do things like air rifle shooting as a grade from BBs. We do some geocaching and GPS work and a couple other cool things like that. So they get to form a patrol, start to think about what that patrol method looks like and what that youth-led program looks like. We have our staff fill in as a patrol leader to help guide that at that point. And they'll go through a bridge ceremony. We try to make it an exciting and special last hurrah before they go off for a couple years, before we hopefully see them back as a Den Chief and CIT and staff member. And 10 years later, they'll still be here as an admin, maybe. Interest information. Yes, so our program choice form, we're going to plan on doing in a similar way. It seemed to work pretty well. Kristen was excited about it. We didn't lose any of them because it was just there. It was awesome. And if anyone has ideas about things that didn't work on it or ways it could be a little more effective, we'd be happy to do that. Guides. So we're in the process of working on our guides, and like I mentioned earlier, one of these things that we may see a shift in how we approach things, thinking about the way ACA thinks about it, or the general camping industry thinks about it. One of the things we're going to try to do this year is shift sort of the order in which those guides come. So in the past couple of years, we'd seen a leader's guide. A couple of years ago, we had a parent's guide, which was like a little distillation, addendum to the leader's guide. And I think what we're going to try to do is shift that ordering a little bit. So we're going to have a parent's guide. So that's going to be sort of the primary communication, and then have a sort of leader's appendix of here's the things you need to know specifically about being a leader in camp as well. We're working on those now. We're going to aim to have those out by January 1st. If I can get them out earlier, it'll be even better. But yeah, so look for those over the next month, and we'll go from there. So we're definitely we're going to work on having a parent's guide and a leader's guide, and we'll see what else we can turn out along with that to help make things work and be effective. I think those are most of the things that I had marked out to make a point to. I don't remember if I mentioned earlier, roundtables. In addition to unit promotions, we're also going to try to do the roundtable circuit and make our way around to each district roundtable. That'll probably be me and/or a few of our other admin team members to help talk through whatever things we know at the moment, and help answer more questions similar to this format. But we know the face-to-face, sometimes we rattle off a few more questions or get to have a couple more conversations as well. It's been a valuable thing. There definitely will be a form for accommodations for scouts with special needs. And we have a variety of things that we might make accommodations for at camp. That might be things that are behavioral accommodations, or medical accommodations, or sleeping accommodations, or dietary accommodations. We see the gamut of them all in all. Trying to remember where that form lives at the moment. If it's not out already, we'll aim to have it out by early, I'd say January 1st, but certainly we would hope to have that out by the time we have deposits due. So I will put that on a list to look out for. Earliest we would recommend having a camp promo anytime now. Yeah, we are just about into December. I think it's a great time to get people to start thinking towards next year. I know lots of families don't necessarily start thinking of it quite yet, which is actually why I think this is a fantastic time to start talking about camp and start to put it on people's radar before all of the other options that might fill up their summer stumble onto their radar as well. Someone available tomorrow night. Oh gosh. I'm not sure we're available tomorrow night because I think we're all in a budget meeting tomorrow night. Actually.
Yeah, I have a couple meetings I got to sit in tomorrow night. Otherwise, I'd say yes. But
yeah, definitely fill out the form or shoot an email, and we'll work to get someone out there. But other strategies that I'll throw out for everyone in terms of promotions is, I think one of the best ways we can get people to think about camp and get scouts to camp is to talk about it early and talk about it often. It doesn't have to be 10 or 15 or 20 minutes rattling off everything all the time. It can be quick and it can be simple, but I'd strongly encourage you all to find a way to spend 30 seconds or a minute talking about camp at each pack meeting from here on out. Just put it on people's radar. And you have scouts who have gone to camp before, be like, hey, what was your favorite thing? And they'll yell something random. It might be the meatballs, I don't know, but they'll be excited about it, and kids will see excitement, and that'll be great. That excitement's contagious, which is awesome. We know at this age range, and we go out to promote to packs, one of the things we're mindful of as well is we get the kids excited and we get them singing and yelling about stuff, and they're excitable, and that's all well and good. And we know we also need to convince the parents to send their kids. the kids tend to care a lot about the fun that's going to happen. And they're like, yes, slushies and lunch, yay. And the parents tend to be much more concerned about, is my child going to be safe at this random camp in the middle of Manchester? And so we really try to stress a lot of the safety aspects we have in our programming, our staffing, our major program areas are all led by staff who have attended National Camping School, or adults over the age of 21. Many of them have been on staff for many, many years. I'm at 15. I think Kristen just hit 10. Alex Ager is at 14. Brendan's at, he held up
9.
a number there. 9. Steve is at, I'm not
Longer
sure we're
than
quite
I've
at
been
40, but we're
alive.
getting very close. We're getting very close to 40 for Steve. So we have a number of people who've been around for quite a while, and we are definitely mindful of safety in our programming. That's why we spend so much time working with the Camp Accreditation in the BSA, and why we looked at the American Camp Association as well, because there are a number of programs that we do or are interested in doing that BSA doesn't necessarily have guidance on. And so we're always looking out for opportunities to try to make sure that we are safe and effective in making things happen. I fortunately had to write very, very few incident reports last summer. It was great. And no workman's comp. And I can say that because it's done. So it won't happen. Next summer is a different issue. So I'll stop saying it in January. So we take safety super seriously, and we definitely communicate that to parents as well as best as we can. Yeah, talk about it early, talk about it often. The couple of bits I wanted to make sure I threw out there, places you can get information, the website nhscouting.org/Camp Carpenter, where you'll see many of the big O official things as they're released, be updated there. Our Camp Carpenter leaders page on Facebook is another great valuable place. If you're on Facebook, try to post updates there, and there's lots of leaders and staff who have been around for quite a while. Some of them don't go to Carpenter anymore, or come by occasionally or whatever, but there's a great knowledge base there. So whether you're looking out for information that we're pushing out, or if you just have a question of, I'm looking for this, or what size tarp do I need to bring to put underneath my cots, or how do you tie blank, blank, blank. There's a lot of institutional knowledge there about some tips and tricks to make camp work and make it awesome. We try to pass off what we can, but there's a lot of really small details that come in sometimes. The 10 platforms are about 9 by 9.9.5, by the way, if you were wondering. Get that question surprisingly often. So that's a great spot to look out at the Camp Carpenter Leaders group. If you have to request to join, I usually try to click approve on them fairly quickly. If I see some come through tonight, I'll try and knock them in and make sure that happens. And as Allison said at the beginning, our next Camp Director Chat is on December 18th. We're hopefully going to have much more guidance about what the camp fee structure is going to look like, and hopefully, if not a released version, an early preview of parents and leaders guides at that point, hopefully. And not things that I have firm updates on what we're going to change yet, but I want to make sure I throw them out there as things we're looking at and trying to improve more. Sunday check-in, we know our Sunday check-ins were not always quite as smooth and efficient as we wanted them to be last summer, and so we're definitely looking at options to try to tweak that a little bit and make some more changes there to make that go fairly quickly and make that go along. We'll probably take some of the things we've been doing the last couple of years and some of the things we were doing in the past and mix and match them and try and make that work. But if you have particular thoughts about that or ideas, we certainly open to feedback in terms of how we can make that process more efficient for leaders and scouts and us, but also the parents who are dropping their scouts off and going along from there. And we know some of that ties into some of our registration, especially in our form system as well. So it's on our radar, and when we have a more firm plan as to how that might change this year, we'll be sure to communicate that out. I think those are.
Sorry, I have a naive question.
Yeah.
This is the first time we're doing it, and there are quite a few new people. And so people asking me questions that I have no idea where to find the answers to. And I flipped through the leadership to the guide for leaders and couldn't find it. So can you talk a little bit for people who have never been to Camp Carpenter, what the logistics look like? Like, is it platform tents or so?
Yes,
Are the
yeah.
tents
So I was
provided? Do
going to
we
say
need
which
to
kind of logistics. So
bring tents? Is it platform tents? Can we stake the tents if we are expected to bring our own? What about food?
Mhm.
And so on,
So
like the sort of the boring stuff.
yeah. Oh no, it's not boring at all. I got to do this for years. It was great. So general flow at resident camp for Camp Carpenter is arrival on Sunday afternoon through Thursday evening. We do meals in the dining hall. So we work with cafe services, run dining services for a lot of schools and a number of other things in areas. We often get some chefs from schools because school's out for the summer, and so they come to camps for the summer, and it works really, really well. We had Chef Ed the last couple summers. I haven't talked to cafe services yet to know if we have the same people coming back or not, but they've typically done a really good job of making sure we have, solid meals. We had the salad bar back last summer, which was awesome. Produce was great. And they've also been really good of, helping make sure we're accommodating different dietary needs as we go along. So meals happen in the dining hall. We do a breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack in the afternoon for all of those days. So from Sunday dinner through Thursday dinner, we've got you covered. The one sort of variant on that is on Wednesday night, we do a pack out night where we provide things for scouts to cook in their campsites. So that's traditionally been, a couple hot dogs, some s'more, supplies to make s'mores and throw in some apples and carrots or something. Yeah. So they get to take the crate with them and then go and cook that in their campsites in their last night in camp. In the campsites, there are canvas tents. So they're canvas platform tents. It's about a 9-foot by 9.5-foot platform with a canvas tent that's about 6.5-ish feet tall. I can stand up in the middle. I can't stand up at the end. Works well. So it's a frame tent. I gotta get some good pictures of those. And canvas wall tents on top of that. And there is 2 cots. So they're canvas cots inside of those tents. Typically, so people are going to want to bring sleeping bags, often a sleeping pad, just to put under the sleeping bag because the open air under the canvas cot can get pretty cold even on a not so chilly summer night. And bug nets to either hang up on the frame over those, tied up to the frame, or a lot of people now are using the mosquito oasis, like the pop-up bug nets, which are great. I like them a lot. And so on. And so there's 2 cots in a tent and however many tents we need to comply with youth protection in the campsite. So tenting guidance is tent buddies should be within 2 years in age and same gender. And we leave that up to packs to divvy out and figure out who's going to stay where. Melissa has a fantastic picture of exactly what almost all of our tents look like. So the one difference is the side riggers there. So where there's a single center pole and it's tied out to those on the side. I think we have like 15 of those left. They're in Piscataqua. We have one site that still has some of those. The rest of them, we have a metal frame.
I don't even think we set them up last year.
We didn't set them up last year. Metal frame that goes over the outside. And so you don't have that one center pole in the middle. But otherwise, they look like that. Thank you, Melissa.
And if people want to pitch their own tents, is that allowed, encouraged?
Yeah, so people are definitely allowed to set up tents, or a lot of people like to set up hammocks sometimes too around in the campsites, as long as there's space around. There's typically space for a few, maybe not everyone to have a tent outside of a tent. Thing some other groups do too is set up a tent just in the tent if they can either fit the cots inside of a dome tent. You just set it up underneath the canvas tent and use the canvas as a tarp to have extra rain protection. So a pretty common thing. And then in each campsite there's a latrine. So that's a open hole latrine. They do their job, and certainly do their job. We don't have flush toilets in every campsite, but we do up in the dining hall and a couple other places around camp as well.
Mhm.
We have Scout Shower House. I don't think, I'm not sure we're going to get a new one by this summer, but hopefully sometime soon. City of Manchester has finally finished connecting water, so we may finally be able to start putting in some new shower houses and stuff. But we do have a shower house, Scout Shower House. It's 8 single stalls that all close to the outside. It's not totally indoors, but there is a roof over it now. Try to like that. You could put a dome tent inside of the canvas tent. And that's bathrooms and showers and food and sleeping spots.
Mhm. Perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Big, small, miscellaneous at this point?
Sorry, and that additional day, then basically Webelos can stay till Friday. Then it sounds
Well,
like
the Arrow
right?
of Lights can
The
sign
Arrow
up
of
to stay
Lights,
that
yeah.
extra night.
Mhm.
And so just for those scouts who are going into 5th grade in the fall. Fantastic. Well, I will certainly hang out a little bit more if people have individual questions. But otherwise, thank you for spending your Sunday evening to start thinking about camp and start asking some of these questions. It's been great seeing you, and we will see you at the next chat. And invite a friend from another pack.
Sign up for promos. We want to come see you.
If you do think of questions like in an hour after tonight, feel free to email myself or Brendan or support@NH Scouting, and one of those ways we will do our best to answer your questions as expeditiously as we can.
Thanks so much.
Thank you all. 210 days.
Thank you.
210 days.
210 days. Hey, thanks everyone. Thanks, Brett. Thanks, Brendan. See you guys tomorrow.
Oh, yes. And Owen has some questions for our we'll stick around to talk to him.
Hey guys, how you been? I have a question that it doesn't need to get addressed tonight or probably even the next meeting or the next meeting, but swim tests prior to arrival, like I couldn't figure that out at all last year, like how to do that. I think I was like ships passing the night, like the emails, like I didn't get them in time or something like that. I don't know. Usually I'm on the ball, but that thing I didn't really master last year, like how to do that.
I believe there is an aquatics committee meeting tomorrow night that'll get more information about that. I know they're gonna be trying to do that again, so we'll make sure we are more not transparent, but making sure that's more widely known.
Yeah, like because I have a unit that
Integrate
like
all
has
of them.
an aquatics guy. He's a college swim coach, so like he could test like the unit. So that's going to be one of my questions. Can the unit test themselves, or like in the early spring, do we have to go to someplace? You know?
Nope, the way
if I'm remembering right, what the aquatics committee was building out and was looking for was someone in the unit someone to have, I think it was aquatic supervision training, or some swim test training to be able to sign off on these. And then if the unit wanted to do them on their own, they would be able to. And I know they're talking about that more, and they sort of rolled that out a little later in the cycle for us to work it into all of our materials and communications.
Yeah, and I went week one. I always go week one, so like like it's always different, because a lot of communication happens right before that. So no, that was my only question. Just sometime before we go next June, how's that handled?
There was like a training that they would have to, I think it was like a Zoom training where they would just talk about how to do the swim tests and like what to look for. So they had to do that. And then I think if they had any background in aquatics, like a coach, then that was fine. It was just they had to go through that training, and then that would be good.
Awesome. All right. That was all I had. Thank
Fantastic.
you guys very much. See you next month.
So yeah,
All right, bye.
here comes trouble.
Dun, dun, dun. Do we need to pause the recording before we talk to Owen?
Oh, yeah, we can stop.
Hello.